Helping provide insight into some of the issues taking center stage at ASEAN is current affairs commentator Einar Tangen. Einar, thanks for joining us. First of all, defense chiefs from the U.S. and China have agreed in principle to guidelines on encounters between warplanes. Can you tell us how significant that is?
Well, although it's a non-binding compact, it does start setting the stage for how you handle this very volatile situation. The combination of trade tariffs and military tensions caused by U.S. ships sailing near Chinese areas is very, very difficult. ASEAN is very, very concerned. What is notable here is that ASEAN has stepped forward. They were very pointed questions about the naval encounter between the U.S. and China, and they asked both sides what was going on. And I think the ultimate goal is not only to have this air encounter situation, which they call game, but also a naval one. They also have indicated very strongly that they're going to start sharing their intelligence. There's going to be a 6-hour eyes program, which has already begun, and this is going to be an exchange of information aimed at countering terrorism. So you're starting to see ASEAN take its own future into its hands and suggest to both sides that there is no desire to have any kind of confrontation in their backyard.
Einar, let's switch from the air to the sea. China and Southeast Asian states holding their first joint maritime exercises next week. Why is that important, and what will that mean for future cooperation?
Well, it's important to diffuse tensions and this idea that somehow ASEAN and China are at odds. You'll also note that they've agreed to have some military cooperation games or exercises with the U.S. So they're being very careful to balance their approach to this. But it's very clear, I mean, indirectly, you know, everyone knows exactly where China is, especially in the South China Seas. The idea that American patrol ships are playing a game of chicken is, I think, disconcerting to many. And this is what ASEAN wants to avoid.
And Einar, ASEAN countries expressed concern about mounting tensions between the U.S. and China in the South China Sea after reports of a close call between two warships. What role do you think ASEAN can play in easing those tensions?
Well, I think they're doing it. As I said before, they asked very, very pointed questions of both the U.S. and China about what actually happened and how this could be diffused. This is preliminary to trying to get a code of conduct that will govern these kinds of situations at sea. But as I said, this is a very big step for ASEAN. They're getting out in front of the issue and trying to make sure that, as I said, that their backyard does not become a military confrontation flashpoint between two great powers.
We have about less than a minute, Einar. The defense ministers reportedly issued a statement on preventing terrorism. What are some of the terror threats confronting the ASEAN region?
Well, they were all a little bit taken aback by what happened on Malawi in the Philippines. The insurgents there, it was ended, but there was a huge cost, $1 billion in reconstruction, and there's afraid that there might be some sort of contagion. And that's why I said they decided that they were going to have an intelligence sharing program called Our Eyes to prevent this kind of situation from happening again, to better coordinate, to make sure that there is a unified front against terrorism.
All right, Einar Tangen, live for us in Beijing. Thanks for your perspective.